Hi, everybody, and welcome to one more episode of Back to Basics, where I am definitely not doing a terrible impression of Robin Williams to open the episode. As usual, I am Pastor Don, and I am joined by everybody's favorite out of all possible Courtneys, Courtney.
The Courtneyest Courtney.
In fact. So today we are going to be continuing our long-running theme in this series of watching biblical characters commit sexual assault for no clear reason, just to solve problems that could be much more easily solved through other means. In case you're wondering,
it's only been like 5 minutes, and I managed to distract myself, and I'm so disappointed all over again.
No. Like this is going to be just another one of those where you're going to be like, seriously, dude, again with this stuff, like, when they said every problem has a tool you can use, that wasn't the tool they meant. So, we're going to be digging into Abe here and Abe's preferred method of problem solving. So
somebody else to dig into his wife.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is literally a repeat of one we've already seen. Like, this is not the first time he's used this particular method of problem solving. So before we get too far away from our epic foreshadowing, why don't we go ahead and read the passage? Do you want me to read this one since you were the last one?
Yeah, you go ahead.
All right, we are going to be doing the surprisingly short Genesis chapter 20, Abraham and Sarah at Gerar. From there, Abraham journeyed towards the region of the Negev and settled between Kadesh and Shur. While residing in Gerar as an alien, Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She's my sister." And King Abimelech of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "You are about to die because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not approached her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent people? Did he not himself say to me, 'She is my sister'? And she herself said, 'He is my brother.' I did this in the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. Furthermore, it was I who kept you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now then, return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you will surely die, and all that are yours." So Abimelech rose early in the morning and called all his servants and told them all these things, and the men were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham and said to him, What have you done to us? I sinned against you, that you have brought such great guilt on me and my kingdom. You have done things to me that ought not to be done." And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What were you thinking that you did this thing?" Abraham said, "I did it because I thought, surely there's no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God caused me to wander from my father's house, I said to her, 'This is the kindness you must do to me at every place to which we come. Say of me, he's my brother.' Then Abimelech took sheep and oxen and male and female slaves and gave them to Abraham and restored his wife Sarah to him. Abimelech said, 'My land is before you, settle where it pleases you.' To Sarah he said, 'Look, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. It is your exoneration before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech and also healed his wife and female slaves so that they bore children. For the Lord had closed fast all the wounds of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife." Holy shit, man.
Why any of this?
Yeah. I mean,
I love that Abimelech just goes off to like, why?
Yeah, right. Like
the same thing.
I'm with Abimelech here. Like, literally, the whole middle part of this chapter is him just going, "Abraham, what the hell?
Why have you done this to me?" Like, he's immediately horrified, and he's like, "I wouldn't have done something like that."
Right? And Abraham's like, "What? It worked well the first time." And sure enough, it works well this time too, because let's look at the bottom: sheep and oxen and female slaves and silver and
like the first time around with this routine with old Honest Abe here. I was just like, you can't call Abraham, like, you can't say these things about him. Like, you're gonna make people mad, and now I'm mad. I'm like, no, wait a minute, this is intentional.
Didn't we already go through this once?
Yeah, the first time kind of had a vibe of like, I really think it's gonna go really bad if like it felt more genuine, and this time seems like, oh,
Yeah.
this is how we do things, and
And
this is how I said
I,
we're always going to do things.
I love, where is it? It is because my wife said, yeah, verse 12. Verse 12. Besides, she is indeed my sister, the daughter of my father, and not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. Like, that verse right there reads like having an argument with my 11-year-old who tries to be pedantic as hell about everything so that she can prove she wasn't really wrong. Like, yeah, well, she technically is my sister, so I didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't also indicate that I was married to her. Like, okay, so we have selling your wife into sexual slavery as a means of getting through a situation. We have
Your sister wife, like,
incest as a defense. Like, come on, man. Like, I grant that in those days, those kinds of like half-sister marriages were considered normal.
yeah, we just spent way too much time going over this in
Yeah.
the last chapter, but
Like, admittedly, us poo-pooing on that aspect is a bit of a modern interpolation, but still, like, twisting that as a defense is even bullshit by the standards of the time. Like, this is
words fail.
this
Just
no, like, Abimelech had the right of it. Like, what were you thinking that you did this thing?
the passage seems to make it seem like maybe he had the right of it too, because it gives him a lot of time to say all those things, and like, yeah, he has a point, and God's even like, yeah, you got a point.
This is something that particularly literalists in reading the Bible never seem to grasp, is that not only sometimes are the heroes of our biblical stories really the bad guys, but sometimes, often enough, the Bible's trying to tell you that. Like, we're not reading into the text and trying to build an interpretation where Abraham isn't the good guy in the story. Like, it's pretty straightforward in the text. God's like, yeah, Abraham shouldn't have did that. Abimelech's like, Abraham, why in the name of God did you do this to me? And Abraham's like, yeah, I figured it would work, dude. Like, this is a straightforward presentation of Abraham as kind of a jackass.
Kind of? Good Lord.
Like, I'm just referring to the attitude by which he approaches the situation when I say kind of a jackass. He's an outright horrific monster if you take the whole of it into account.
How does Sarah feel about all this?
She's a
Doesn't
woman,
matter.
therefore irrelevant. Like, that's the old biblical story. But, it's worth
feminine rage.
Yeah, it is worth noting, and we will get to this next episode when we start talking about going back to Hagar and Ishmael, because that's where we're at going forward. Sarah is by no means like a hero or totally a victim in all of this too. Like, she, in this particular piece of the situation, she is being victimized by Abraham in the way she's being utilized as an object or for trade. But she also has bought into the mentality of Abraham, and she continues behaving in these very Abrahamic ways throughout the story as well. This is not a justification for the way she's treated here, but I'm saying this to avoid binary thinking of Abraham's the bad guy, Sarah's the victim, end of story. Like, she's also kind of an ass throughout this whole larger narrative. But yeah, like, none of this is good, and it doesn't fail to pay off for Abraham at the end too. Like, the end result is pretty much word for word like what happened with Egypt. Like, he comes out of it with his choice of land to settle, a bunch of slaves and animals and land, and he gives to Sarah, which I think is interesting.
Well, how old are he and Sarah at this point?
Old.
Was she like a fabled beauty?
Not really commented on. One must be either that or Abimelech's got some very particular interests. Like, there are sociocultural aspects here. Like, I think there may have been some like interhouse crossbreeding ideas, because sometimes you would just take a wife in order to cement relationships between you and other countries and or houses or tribes or things like that. That is probably a component of it here as well. Oh,
And
it's
taking the sister of a tribe's leader would very much, yeah.
yeah. And there is, like, if we want to continue on with this theory of Abraham using sexual assault like a hammer to every nail he comes across, like the idea of going into an area and saying of his wife, she is my sister, almost seems like it's inviting people to come take her as a bride.
Yeah.
Because, like, okay, well, hey, I know how alliances are built. I'll take that, sister. Thank you very much. Like if it was your wife, I wouldn't do nothing. Like you're on your own, dude. But like, oh, you got a sister? Yeah, I would definitely get into that. Anyway. So like I'm not saying like Abraham is out and out attempting to solicit people to steal his wife, but I'm not saying that.
That really is how it comes off. And again, the first time round, the Egypt story, it makes more sense. They were a great deal younger at that point. And they make a point of saying, you know, like Sarai was really beautiful.
Yeah.
But at this point, like, even by their standards, they're old. Like,
they're beyond the childbearing age. Like they had an angel come to them with a promise not too long ago.
yeah, and she cracked up about it. Like,
This is no freaking way. I'm way past menopause, yo.
this is so much weirder and worse somehow.
Yeah.
Like
that's not to say that old people getting down is bad per se, but like
no, it's just it's so much more inexplicable.
Yeah,
That this is happening. It's so much harder to parse out any other reason, like understandable reason behind this, except for, hey, you know what's you know what we can do to
hey, you know it worked real well last time.
Ridiculous amount of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, so, and again, like repetition of narratives is a common feature of ancient Israelite writing. Like, if we're looking at this as a historical accounting, did he actually do this 2 times? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's just one time that's interpolated a couple of different ways because like we wanted to really revisit that Abraham liked to solve his problems that way. Who knows? That said, still, dude, like nothing about this is a good decision on Abraham's part. And it's okay of us to realize that. And I think it's also worth noting too that like this is one of the earlier examples of the Bible casting a particular narrative trope on its head, which happens a lot. And the trope is, here's our hero Abraham going into this area. Oh no, the bad guy has stolen away his wife, and God will send plagues if you don't do the right thing. And that's basically, you know, transatlantic accent notwithstanding, pretty much the arc of this kind of a story. But we also get this whole interplay of Abimelech's like, why is this happening? And I was like, yeah, no, you're cool. Like Abraham did a thing, and as long as you realize that, own it, and address it in an appropriate way, you're good. Like I don't have a problem with you, Abimelech. I have a problem with the situation that has developed. I might have, tellingly, we don't get the conversation between Abraham and God in this one, because I would love to hear the other half of that, where Abraham walks away from Abimelech and says, or where God walks away from Abimelech and says, all right, Abe, what the hell, man?
You got to stop doing this.
Like, I think that's probably why Abraham was so unfazed when Abimelech shows up screaming, because he probably got an earful from God the night before already and was kind of prepared for it. But yeah, like this is Abraham again doing a friggin' stupid and trying to solve his problem by selling his wife to sexual slavery. And
it works.
It works. Like doing the evil thing works for acquiring resources, growth, development, moving yourself forward, Elon. It works. And that is a sign of the broken human world we live in, Elon, is that you can be an ass and still get money, Elon. Sorry, I that's some in my brain there for a minute. But yeah, that is the end conclusion out of this whole thing, is that you can still be an ass and get somewhere, but that doesn't mean it's right. And this is a clear distinction that's made in these biblical passages. It's the difference between being successful and being right. Abraham is successful here, but that doesn't mean he's right. And at no point do we get God's seal of approval on this as, and lo, Abraham was righteous for his actions and seen as faithful before God. Like, that comes in other places for other reasons. It does not happen here.
Yeah, no,
It
was
doesn't
the
happen in Egypt.
Lord. No, yeah.
You know, there's no trumpets and banners from heaven, and, you know, little cherubs and wheels within wheels that are, you know, causing everybody to melt with their friggin'.
So I think I have found our worthwhile message to be learned from this.
Don't sell your wife into sexual slavery. I mean, that's a pretty worthwhile message.
I don't think most people need that lesson. I think more people probably need the lesson. Hey, your leaders, both, you know, socially and spiritually, are very fallible. Even if someone is a really holy person,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't mean that everything they do is good.
Yeah. No matter how good your religious leader is, they're still a human being. Abraham solved all of his problems with sexual assault. Even Pope Francis, who I think is probably the best overall religious leader of the day, like, still has got a lot of problematic stuff about, you know, LGBTQIA and other certain minority populations in that respect. Like, everybody's got a thing. Abraham's thing was using his penis to solve all of his problems, or someone else's penis to solve all of his problems.
Yeah.
Situation. But like, everybody's got a thing, and they're not perfect people. And we run into problems when we start acting as if they are. Like, there is a lot that can be learned from Abraham. His genesis in the Jewish tradition, and indeed what evolves into our tradition later on, cannot be undervalued, like, cannot be overvalued. It is important. His contribution is major. Like, we'll talk about the binding of Isaac later, and that whole interaction. Like, there's a lot of.
It's one of the most important figures in the entire Bible, and it's not even like in question.
Yeah, but, and this is a point I can't stress, even if we cut it down to just the Bible, there's exactly one perfect person in the Bible, and he's not it.
Yep.
And the minute we start thinking that all of the heroes are perfect is the minute we lose sight of what this passage is about. We lose sight of what the whole book's about. The whole book is about how everybody keeps screwing up until Jesus gets it right, and then Jesus leaves, and we keep screwing it up after. And continue on until this day. So anything else you wanted to dig into with this one?
Nope. I think we've done this.
Yeah, I think we've had our fill of sexual assault for the evening. So why don't we go ahead and call it for today?
Phrasing.
Yeah, I know, right?
We had our fill of sexual assault.
Oh, come on. I didn't even get that one. Oh, I wasn't even going for that, and you still managed to pin it on me, man.
I said you were more immature than me. I never said I was mature.
Good point. Good point. You almost caught me there. All right. So, you know, let's call it for tonight. Courtney, if you please.
Oh, yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you have thoughts you'd like to share. Anything from, you know, what I thought this certain thing about this verse to, you know, caps lock, angry Karen ranting.
Because I got to be honest, if you have read this, if you read this passage and then listen to us rant about it, and you still don't have thoughts about it, then I got to wonder what you've been doing for the last half hour, because it sure doesn't make any sense to me. But other than that, links down below are also for our Discord server. If you're not feeling like leaving comments on a YouTube video or somehow on a podcast, whichever way you're listening to this, I don't know. Discord server, man, we're talking about that. That's interactive. I don't always respond to YouTube comments, but I'm on the Discord server all the time. If you want to tell me how wrong I am and watch as people gang up on you, because they probably aren't going to agree with that. Well, yeah, they might. I am also one of those faith leaders who be failable, so who knows? But get in on the conversation. Like, we want to see you more than just screaming to our cameras every day, which, you know, is fun, but, you know, human interaction, people, we like them. For this being our chosen field. Other than that, we're closing in on Christmas Eve. I mentioned this in the last video. Big old Christmas Eve service happening here in Japan. So if you're Japan side, get in on that. Info on the website, link down there in the description. Go to it and do the thing. Otherwise, have a good week. We'll see you on the next episode, in which I will be wearing an entirely different new set of clothing, because this is the last of the episodes we're recording in one stretch. So have a good week. I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. Take care. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.